This year was poised to be the defining chapter of Seth Rollins' illustrious career. After years of consistency, hard work, and evolution, 2025 had all the makings of the moment where he would fully cement himself as the undisputed cornerstone of WWE's future. From his grand return from a previous injury, to his carefully constructed character development, and his positioning as a central figure in WWE's most important storylines, everything seemed to finally be aligning in Rollins' favor. However, a sudden and unfortunate knee injury, ironically during a match that was meant to elevate his path forward, has completely derailed what should have been a triumphant period. This wasn't just an injury, it was a cruel, unceremonious twist of fate that halted momentum, threatened legacy, and destabilized WWE's short-term storytelling plans built around his presence. Rollins entered 2025 with renewed purpose and undeniable swagger. After months of fan support during his time away, rehabbing from a torn meniscus in late 2024, his return was greeted with massive cheers. It was clear the fans didn't just admire Seth, they believed in him as the guy to lead WWE through an uncertain transition phase, as newer stars were on the rise and legends were stepping away. In January, he was already penciled into top-tier feuds, expected to contend for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship again, and heavily rumored to be the face of WWE's major summer programs. The company had finally placed trust in his veteran leadership, giving him ample promo time, championship-level matches, and a heavy presence on both Raw and premium live events. Everything was calculated, and Rollins was delivering at the absolute highest level. Unlike some wrestlers who merely go through the motions or exist between big events, Seth Rollins was building an ongoing narrative. He had become a master of reinvention, never relying on past successes, constantly evolving both his ring work and his character. His 2025 version was the perfect synthesis of all his previous personas: the conniving architect, the cocky kingslayer, the enigmatic visionary, and WWE seemed ready to reward him with a historic run. The fans were emotionally invested. The locker room saw him as a locker room leader, and his merchandise numbers remained near the top. The culmination of everything he had worked toward, credibility, opportunity, and timing, had finally arrived, only to be obliterated in a split second. The injury wasn't just a personal setback, it threw a massive wrench into the WWE machine, particularly as the company had been structuring its creative around a few dependable stars. With Roman Reigns working a lighter schedule and Cody Rhodes winding down his central run post-WrestleMania, Rollins was next in line to carry the full-time load. He was supposed to anchor the coming months, particularly in the build-up to SummerSlam and Survivor Series, two events where WWE heavily leans on established stars to draw mainstream attention. His involvement in the Money in the Bank narrative and several ongoing feuds positioned him as an irreplaceable figure. There were serious talks of a major title run, and backstage reports had him pegged for a possible main event spot at WrestleMania 42. But all of that evaporated as soon as he crumpled to the mat in pain. Fans watching the match where the injury occurred could immediately sense the severity. Rollins was visibly distressed, and though he tried to maintain composure, his pained facial expression and audible cursing said it all. WWE quickly pivoted, allowing LA Knight to win the match in an unplanned finish. While the company attempted to carry on, the absence of Seth Rollins was immediately felt in the weeks following the incident. The excitement around the Money in the Bank briefcase, which had been teasing a potential Rollins cash-in, lost its edge. The ongoing story arcs, specifically his involvement with Judgment Day and a potential feud with Gunther, suddenly felt directionless. WWE scrambled to plug the hole, but there was no real replacement. Seth Rollins wasn't just a performer, he was the glue holding everything together. This injury couldn't have come at a worse time for Rollins personally either. He had just re-established his in-ring dominance and was arguably in the best shape of his career, with many touting him as one of the few wrestlers capable of elevating anyone he faced. His in-ring IQ and endurance had reached elite levels. Rollins wasn't just a workhorse, he was a ring general. For someone to peak so definitively, only to have that moment taken away, is more than a disappointment. It's tragic. Few careers are as defined by long-term storytelling as his, and this particular arc, which was meant to lead to undisputed supremacy, now ends in an unplanned and painful hiatus. Even worse, this setback affects his standing in the eyes of WWE's higher-ups, who must now reevaluate whether they can rely on Rollins as the long-term centerpiece. WWE is notoriously cautious about reinvesting in stars who get injured often, and though Rollins has always returned better than before, the optics matter. 2 major knee injuries in a span of just over a year bring his durability into question, despite the decades of service he's given to the business. No one doubts his passion or toughness, but professional wrestling is a brutal business where timing, health, and opportunity are fleeting. For Rollins to be sidelined again, while momentum was finally on his side, may cause WWE to pivot elsewhere permanently. Moreover, the emotional weight of the injury is not something that can be understated. Rollins has always been open about his intense dedication to his craft. He sees wrestling as a form of art, and he's one of the few performers who puts everything, body, mind, and soul into every performance. Knowing how close he was to reaching the mountaintop again, only to be benched by a freak occurrence, undoubtedly takes a toll on someone with his level of intensity and drive. The frustration, the helplessness, illness, the fear that he might never get another chance like this. It all creates a psychological burden that's difficult to ignore. This injury has also robbed fans of some potentially historic matches. WWE had been teasing a long-awaited Rollins versus Gunther feud for the Intercontinental Championship, something that would have brought technical brilliance and emotional storytelling in equal measure. There was also speculation about a final trilogy match with Roman Reigns, a contest fans had been demanding for years, as both men reached iconic status on parallel but connected paths. Then there was the possibility of a program with CM Punk, should Punk return to full-time action. The injury has taken all these possibilities and pushed them into an uncertain future, or worse, erased them altogether. The locker room has also felt the loss. Rollins is not just respected, he's admired. He mentors younger talent, helps agents refine match structures, and acts as a dependable veteran voice in times of creative chaos. His absence isn't just a vacant slot on the card, it's a loss of leadership behind the scenes. Several rising stars have credited Rollins for elevating their performances, both through his in-ring guidance and his off-camera feedback. Without him present, that invaluable mentorship is absent, and the ripple effects may impact future main eventers who were being nurtured under his wing. From a branding standpoint, Rollins' injury disrupts WWE's marketing machine as well. He was featured heavily in promotional materials for upcoming tours, merchandise lines, and media appearances. His flamboyant outfits, signature laugh, and memorable catchphrases had become part of the WWE ecosystem, drawing fans from outside the core wrestling community. Losing him from weekly television not only affects ratings, but diminishes WWE's visibility in pop culture circles. For a company always looking to expand its mainstream reach, losing a charismatic, well-spoken ambassador like Rollins at such a pivotal time is a blow that extends far beyond the ring. His injury also throws a wrench into ongoing character arcs. WWE had been slowly planting seeds for a major shift in Rollins' character, possibly a darker persona, or even a heel turn that would have made his eventual title chase more compelling. Now, with his physical status uncertain, those narrative threads either die out or get handed to someone less equipped to carry them. The continuity of his story has been broken, and in a medium where story is everything, regaining that momentum post-recovery will be difficult, if not impossible. The timing is equally cruel when considering Rollins' real-life journey, balancing wrestling with fatherhood, while maintaining his reputation as one of WWE's hardest workers, is not easy. Yet he managed it, and did so with grace and humility. This was the year everything was supposed to come together, not just in the ring, but in life. His injury not only impacts his professional goals, but interrupts the rhythm of a balanced personal life that he had finally achieved after years of chaotic travel and relentless schedules. That balance is now thrown into disarray, and rebuilding that harmony, physically, emotionally, and professionally, will be a slow and painful process. Financially, too, the injury will likely sting. Though Rollins is well compensated, bonuses tied to appearances, main events, merchandise, and pay-per-view points can be significantly impacted by time away. With WWE investing in global expansion and major international events, Rollins was primed to be one of the top attractions. Being taken off the table now not only reduces his short-term earnings, but may affect future contract negotiations. If he can no longer be counted on to appear consistently, WWE may hesitate before offering him the kind of multi-year, top-tier deal he undoubtedly earned before the injury. This could also lead to a changing of the guard that leaves Rollins behind. Wrestling moves fast, and new stars can rise quickly when a spot opens. If someone like Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, or even LA Knight steps into the role Rollins vacated and catches fire, WWE may decide to run with them instead. That window Rollins worked so hard to reopen could close just as fast, and despite his legacy, he may return to a diminished role he doesn't deserve. There's also the harsh reality that momentum, once lost, is rarely recovered in its original form. Seth Rollins had carefully cultivated a persona that thrived on weekly evolution, where every promo, match, and appearance built towards something greater. With this sudden pause, the emotional investment fans had made in his journey risks fading. Absence can sometimes make the heart grow fonder, but in the fast-paced world of WWE, it more often leads to replacement. Viewers shift their attention quickly, and the void Rollins left behind may be filled before he has a chance to return, which could cause his prior trajectory to vanish without closure. What makes the situation even more heartbreaking is that Rollins was arguably the most complete performer in the company. He had the charisma to carry storylines across brands, the in-ring skill to deliver show-stealing bouts on any given night, and the emotional intelligence to connect with crowds of all sizes and demographics. Very few performers reach that level of versatility, and Rollins had done it all without losing authenticity. His presence elevated title matches, grudge feuds, comedy segments, and main event spectacles alike. WWE had few performers as multifaceted as him, and the injury instantly exposed the company's growing dependence on his adaptability. Behind the curtain, creative plans had been hinging on his ability to transition between roles as needed. Whether it was serving as a transitional champion, initiating a faction war, or guiding a younger talent through their first high-profile feud, Rollins could be plugged into any scenario and immediately add credibility. This flexibility gave the creative team options. With him gone, those options vanish. Mid-card stories lose momentum. Long-term arcs crumble. Writers are forced to abandon scripts and scramble for alternatives, often resulting in disjointed programming and unsatisfying conclusions to plots that were gaining traction.